I mean, after last week's episode of Shadow's House, I was thinking the idea of the Shadow Masters taking over their faces could be a very likely scenario, but after this week, it definitely feels as such. When you reach a certain floor, it feels like they just consume their face, and sometimes the face takes over, but like, holy shit, this is getting interesting. And comparing where we're looking at the debut, where the Shadow Masters and faces are working in harmony, versus like the higher ups with Grandfather and company, it's very different, it feels like, with how they interact, and the opinion is that the face should eventually have absolutely no personality and should just be the face. And it'll be interesting to see how characters like Emilico and Kate, and I mean all the Masters from what we saw in this debut, will deal with that change. It's gonna be interesting for sure. Though seriously, like, if you would have told me 5 episodes back that Ricky would be maybe my favorite character in terms of the dull side, I would have said you're crazy. I would have probably said it's entirely possible that I'll find him to be the most fascinating, but on a personal level, this dude's a douchebag. There's no way. But seriously, Ricky's transformation over the debut is incredibly night and day. And I love the idea of friendship, which friendship in anime, come on, they go hand in hand, but it's not usually a good thing. But friendship in here, I think, is really interesting, because Edward set this up essentially to be failure, specifically for Emilico and Kate. Unless they picked the keys, they were going to fail. It's locked at the gate. Even if somehow you get past the gate, the controls for the crane are guarded by keys. You needed that key set. No one in their right mind would have thought that a girl who spends her time picking flowers to give out to the children in the neighborhood would actually be their saving grace, so as they fall to their death, in fact they fall into a pit of flowers, and as she mentions, her body is a lot more durable than that of many of them. And it's like, what an incredibly cool but stupid way to save your master. And the fact that it's entirely built around what Emilico has done for other characters. Like the fact that Emilico gave a flower to a master trapped in a box, giving a little sunshine to his life, is the entire reason that Ricky was allowed to give the shears that he was given as a gift, and she went behind her own master's back because, you know, she had fun. Friendship was a very dominating theme, and it's interesting to see pairings and how, when you really look at the start of the debut versus the end of the debut, it's crazy to see how it felt like Edward was really trying to separate these characters. While a lot of it was built around teamwork, like the fact that you needed 2 people to open a gate, it really felt like he was trying to push them away. It might have had the complete opposite effect. Both master and servant have really grown, and the relationships that have formed quite exceptional. I mean, I especially love Rum in this episode and how she's very cool, calm, and collected. The tunnel that Ricky couldn't go through, she could because she had the lantern, and her makeshift shears that she, first guards her hands, covers her face, because touching any of this could very well damage her body, and as the Shadow Master's up above her saying that she would get a rash and would be very damaged. So she carefully goes through making sure nothing gets on her master, as seemingly, if word is to be believed, they actually had a conversation for the first time. And it was incredible to see the growth in all of the characters, and how it really felt like no one got left behind. We see the first pass, and then we see the next. Even characters like, Sean and John, and how, the Ricky conversation about the gate, you have that general hostility. But the fact that they came together, and the fact that the master was so enthralled and impressed, that he uses his shadowy fists of doom to destroy that Indiana Jones booby trap, and it's incredible. Like, this show, I think, really has elevated in the debut. Like, I loved it before the debut. I had so much mystery and intrigue, but truthfully, the debut is, I think, what really sets in motion this series into becoming something truly memorable. Because for 4 episodes or so, we've been watching this hedge maze and the idea of like, okay, who's gonna win, who's gonna fail. And if you watch after the credits, while they definitely are impressed, they're saying there's no way they can make it in time. But I would be honestly shocked if everyone didn't pass. I truly feel like this is gonna be the biggest curveball, and the one who's gonna fail will actually be Edward, because somehow all of them will make it back in time. I mean, Lord Grandfather seemingly is quite entertained, so I mean, even if somehow by rule set that they lose, I wouldn't be shocked if somehow they all end up passing in some way or another. But like, just watching the difference of opinion, some wishing that some of these characters would end up dead, the other's impressed by the creativity and just the way they're going outside the box in order to solve these issues. One of my favorite puzzles has to be the box that Ricky's master was trapped in. Actually has, like, on the corner pieces, if you use it as a key mold, the soot can then be hardened into forming a key. I think it's really interesting. Like, whatever you want to say about Edward, the man's puzzles are really, really well done. And I love how he literally put a cart as one of the options, and you could probably think it's one of the worst things to do. And I mean, in a lot of ways, it was up until the end of, like, rescuing Kate. It didn't do a whole lot, all things considered, but it fit perfectly for Emilio's mindset. And, you know, a set of keys is a little too on the nose. Who would trust in those keys actually being useful? Like, you would want to do something a little different. But it was interesting to see how everything comes together and how nothing really felt really ham-fisted. It didn't feel like it was randomly slapped together. The way the puzzles are connecting and the fact that they go back and touch upon those things like the dark cavern that only someone with a lantern could have gone through. It's really interesting. I have to say, Shadow's House is definitely creative in more ways than one. The shadows, the dolls, you know, clearly being humans, but they're not presented as humans, and that being a mystery. The puzzle pieces, the hierarchy in this family. There's so much uncertainty, and I'm going to be very interested to see what happens after you pass the debut and what new territory that will allow you to explore. Honestly, the celebration when someone passes reminds me of when you beat games like Super Mario 64 and the fireworks go off. Everyone's there throwing a party for you. It was very interesting to see something feel so human in the face of so much that felt unnatural and kind of ghostly, I guess is how I would say it. But this was great. I mean, Ricky, Rum, definitely still some of the most intriguing, but I'm glad that no character so far feels left behind. And I really felt like that was going to happen because Rum, shy character, doesn't have a lot of experience. Ricky, just an arrogant asshole. You know, they're all kind of coming out of their shell. And that bubbly character that could have easily just been nothing. Emilio's really started to become someone who, yes, she's a bundle of sunshine, and those that generally call her sunshine are saying it as an insult, but her sunshine has been more of a shield than anything at this point, and while she definitely makes mistakes, I love how Kate and Emilio, when they get reunited, they immediately are talking about their adventures, and like, there's not a care in the world. They definitely are two halves of the same coin, and it's really interesting to see where they've gone over the show. I mean, I knew Shadow's House was going to be something really special ever since episode 1, but it really mattered about the team and how far they were going to push it on a visual level, because this is a show that needed a good visual department, because having essentially one character, I guess you have two characters, but one half of the character being the shadow having essentially no emotion, the way they use soot to express it, even some of the body reactions, despite not being able to see smiles and things like that. The way they've really elevated an arguably really good script from its source material into something that has so much energy, from the 3D to the just really elegantly drawn backgrounds. Like, I mean, when Emilio and Kate were talking, like, if you really zoom in and look at the detail to the trees that are kind of blocking their escape, there's some ridiculous detail to that imagery, and I'm really impressed. Will we get a season 2? You never really know with any of these shows. It very well could just end up being a promotion for the source material like a lot of these manga adaptations. But if we get a second season, I'll be really excited to see where the next installment of this house, this mansion, this mystery will go. And like I said towards the beginning of this show, you know, if we don't end up getting a season 2, I'll definitely check out its source material, because it's just really an intriguing show that deserves all the love, and I'm hoping that we do eventually get it in a couple of years down the line. I don't expect it next year or anything. I will be patient, but I do hope, you know, within a year's time, we at least get a confirmation that more is in the pipeline, and I can hold off on reading that source material so I can continue to experience this anime blind. But as always, let me know your thoughts and feelings down below, your favorite moment. And for you personally, who is your favorite character? For me right now, on the doll side, has to be Ricky. Greatest transformation. In terms of the shadows, I don't know. I mean, they're all kind of like really intriguing to me, so I'm going to hold out a little bit before I kind of pick my favorite shadow master, but time will tell. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, share your support, and hit that subscribe button if you're happy new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.